Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies. We're sisters who discuss all things related to work, family, and personal growth.
We draw inspiration from everywhere, especially from you, our listeners, to keep moving forward with joy and laughter in the big adventure that is life.
1 week at a time.
I'm Azizi Williams. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a mom of two, soon to be an empty nester, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world. I'm here with my sister, Malika Amandi.
That's me. I'm a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a newish mom, and I work in higher ed.
In this episode, we'll recap our favorite moments from the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast and the Happier in Hollywood podcast hosted by Liz Craft and Sarah Fain.
But first, Azizi,
Malika.
I manifested a car.
You manifested a car.
What? I mean, manifest is too strong of a word because I didn't put that much thought into it, but I did acknowledge recently, like, we need another car that fits 2 car seats.
All right.
Because our current car, well, we have a van, but then the car that I drive, it fits 1, but if you had another one, we couldn't fit the dog and like a stroller also. It's like very compact.
Right. The family has to fit in every car.
Ideally.
Right.
Especially because we split up pickup and drop off with daycare, and there's a lot of moving parts. So you just want to have the most flexibility. So this has just been like on my brain for a little while, and I've said it out loud, said it to Norm, but we hadn't had a plan. We didn't have a plan. Like, how are we going to acquire a new car, like, or a used car?
And you never said this to me. I had no idea you were thinking about a new car.
I manifested it on a small level. And then last week at a staff meeting, that wasn't even a staff meeting. It was like the staff meeting was canceled, but we were basically gathering around to have pastries anyway, the people who were still in the office. One of my coworkers kind of offhandedly was like, oh, is anybody looking for, an SUV? My housemate has to leave the country for, a job they got. They're going back to their home country and they're trying to sell it. They were going to give it to the dealer, but we thought maybe we could find somebody who needs a car. And I was like, oh, I need a car. I might be interested. And she was like, oh, okay. So very sparse details. And she was like, he's kind of got to leave like next week. So if you could move quickly, I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So I connected Norm with this person. And 2 days later, he came to our house with a car. We looked at it. Some very good condition. It's not a new car, but a really good deal for the mileage and the type of car. I think because he needed to get rid of it fast, he was willing to take the same price that the dealer offered. So we got like a huge savings on this car. And basically 2 days after we saw it, like, signed the paperwork, the previous owner left the country. We're like, got the license plate.
Wait.
Did all of the stuff at the DMV, and
oh my gosh,
it's ours now.
Okay, so is this guy running from something? Are you sure? Like,
Not
as
running.
you tell the story, I'm super suspicious. He had to leave the country immediately. I hope there's nothing nefarious.
Well, I felt comfortable with the transaction because I know my coworker, that she lived with this person. So
She lived with the person. Okay.
exactly, it was a housemate. So it wasn't like a random Craigslist situation, where it's like, is somebody going to come after us for the car?
Right. Okay. Car's legit.
But I gathered from his work that it's working for the government in the country that he's from.
I see.
And that maybe it is kind of a military thing or something. I got the vibe that it was like he got an assignment.
Secret Service kind of
Could be.
situation. Interesting.
But it was like
kind of exciting also. You have a car
Right.
maybe with a little bit of a past, like a James Bond situation maybe.
I don't think that was his situation here in the States. He was a student, but what he was moving on to, he could not bring that car. So anyway, it's ours now. The whole thing took less than a week.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's your first SUV.
Yeah, I guess so. We have a van. That's not the same. You're right.
I love SUVs. You're going to love it.
We're in the group now.
I'm so excited for Indigo, who loves cars, to have a new car in the family.
He's very excited about it. He hasn't actually ridden in it. The interior is so clean. Like, clearly they don't have kids. Kids have never ridden in this car, and I just know it's gonna, like, go downhill from here.
That's okay.
We haven't put the car seat in it yet, but he likes to see it in the driveway.
It's funny that you have a car maybe that just sits in the driveway. That's fun.
For now.
For now. Wow, I feel like this kind of thing never happens to me, and I feel like it happens to you a lot. I feel like this is the story of the refrigerator that time that you got with, like, no cost. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then the car you have now that you got a really good deal on from a grant or something like that. I feel like you always get these opportunities.
They're always from other people that I hear things from. So I think I know
Mhm.
people who are connected, and I act on tips.
That's the key in your network, having people who are connected.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. All right, Azizi. What happened on Happier in Hollywood recently?
On Happier in Hollywood, episode 415, Liz and Sarah get advice about strategic planning from their friend Todd Shulkin, and they recommend a business card app. In episode 416, Sarah and Liz discuss how to not get into work that's difficult to get out of, and they make a family crest to practice using AI. And then Liz recommends The Studio to watch. I love strategic planning, Malika. I don't
Oh,
know
I
about
know.
you, but
I know you do. I do
that
too.
is my jam.
I do too. I was excited when I saw the title. I was excited to hear the conversation. I think it's just fun to really think big picture and, I mean, making a plan for what you want to do, you know?
Yeah,
Making dreams reality time, kind of.
absolutely. I think I could spend all the time just strategic planning. I don't necessarily like to strategic do, but
Mhm.
I do like to strategic plan. I think my jam is the future.
Yes,
Thinking
yes.
about the future is just so exciting. And I've talked about this before. I love a good brainstorm. Give me
Yeah.
some post-its, different colors, a pen, a time to try to rapidly get as many ideas down as possible. I love that whole process.
What did you think? Because he focused quite a bit on the research aspect of
Right.
strategic planning and, like, before you ideate, you need to see what other people are doing and get a baseline, and you can move away from it, but it's important to have that factual information first. And that seemed like a big aha for Sarah and Liz, like they hadn't been doing that so much. And he acknowledged that this is like kind of more of a corporate framework that's not necessarily perfect for a creative team. But what did you think? Do you like the research process? Is that something that you typically do?
I do. I think it's very important because we are so limited to just what we know and what
Yeah.
we see and our unique perspective. So the process is going to be strengthened by getting multiple perspectives on this one issue or project or committee. And so I think it's actually very important to check in with people who have a stake, definitely people who have a stake or people who could be impacted by the users of the product also potentially to get their ideas and thoughts about the future of the program.
Hmm.
So it reminds me of the work I did in graduate school with design thinking.
Hmm.
I talked about a little bit this process that I think was either refined or developed at Stanford, the D school, it's
Hmm.
called. And this process always starts with, they call empathy interviews, where you interview people who the product is for or who have some engagement with it to understand what their needs are or how you could support them better. And then you go back and sort of design the future of this thing based on what you hear. So in this case, obviously, it's not a thing that they're designing for, it's their business,
Right.
but they have products also, and so do most people who are at work are designing for either a service or, a product. And so it's important to check in with as many people as possible before forging ahead. I mean, obviously you could skip that part, but you may miss some important information that could have unlocked some different potential.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I wonder, as they're talking about their team, I was thinking about us and our podcast. That's our project that we
Right.
have done some strategic planning around, but I think we could go further. And that is not something we have not conducted empathy interviews with
We
our
have not.
listeners.
We have not, although, we do some forms of it. We definitely ask people to tell us what they think about the specific things. And I feel like around our anniversary, we maybe did that a little bit. But you're right, we haven't done that in any strategic way. And that's the thing about strategic planning is that it takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
And so it's usually just that thing you can't ever get to because the day to day is just imminent and urgent. And so that kind of work often just doesn't happen.
I think this also reminds me of best laid plans at home, the kind of annual planning thing that we've done, and how similar that is to strategic planning, but it's on a individual basis.
You're right. It's thinking about the future
Yeah,
and it's thinking about how do you want to feel and how can you be your best self and how to identify what's important to you and then plan for those things. But the thing that's missing is the strategic planning part of it for the individual, like the big ambitious thing. Anyway, that hasn't been a part of my process. I
right,
think that's something that I would want to take note of for the future when I'm engaging in that planning. Like the 25 for 25 is close
right,
and you could make it as ambitious as you want to, but generally you're doing things that you think you can accomplish.
in that
And you're
year.
generally not asking other people what should be on your
Sure.
list. Right.
Yes.
And so that's interesting. If I like checked in with my family, what do you think my goal should be? What do you think something that I should shoot for in the future? That would be an interesting process.
Well, I think you've talked a little bit about being great 2028.
I have. That's true. Yeah.
So that's kind of a longer horizon, like
Right.
you haven't fleshed out what that means, but I think
Yes.
that kind of a goal is much bigger and could
Yeah.
contain more ambitious things. I think Sarah Hart Unger has a list. I don't know what she calls it, but she has mentioned she has a list of like things she wants to do in her life.
Mm.
That includes like I think writing a book was on that list and like running the
Mm.
Boston Marathon and all these different things that she periodically will pull from for
Yeah.
like the big goal for the year, which I like that idea. I don't have a list like that. I have some things earmarked as like someday maybe, which is like a David Allen getting things done productivity thing. So like that's in my brain, but I actually haven't organized it or thought at that level.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of like a 5-year cycle or 10-year cycle. Like, what do I want this decade?
Oof. Decades sounds scary, but you're right. So here's what maybe we need to do. This is our retreat. We each need to spend time individually reflecting on our own strategic plan for ourselves. I feel like it needs another word besides strategic plan. So that's the step one is find a new word to call this process. But we need to do this for ourselves, like our 5, 10 year, someday maybe thing. And
Right.
then we come together and we sort of see maybe there's some overlap there, or maybe there are some
Ooh,
things that we can use this podcast to kind of move forward with some of our individual hopes and dreams. I don't know. Maybe
I
there's
like it.
something there. Do you like this?
Yes,
I think,
Venn diagram of
yes.
strategic planning.
You and I are like business partners, and then we have our own lives and families and things that we want to accomplish, but there might be some overlap and some ways that we can use that to move us forward. Hardest part is finding the time. We'll have
Right.
to find time for retreat. Also, you're going to have a baby very
I'm
soon.
gonna have a baby, but I think I don't know, there might be some downtime in the maternity leave, It's gonna
Oh,
be different. It's not
yes.
vacation, but
No.
I might have more space to think about things. I'm not sure, but I feel like a friend kind of reframed that for me because I was, like, thinking I mean, I don't know. We don't know what postpartum will be, but it is possible there will be time for thinking.
Okay. Well, we'll get through that part, the baby part,
Yes.
and then we'll find a time. But just for folks who don't know, the Be Great by 2028 is something that I have talked about because the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles in 2028. And I'm so excited. And I wanted to use that as a catalyst to like improve my health and well being and just prepare for that moment. And Malika, I found out the soccer is going to be played at the Rose Bowl, which I could literally walk to
Oh,
from my house. And so, yes, I want to be great by 2028. It also happens to be a milestone birthday for me. So, a lot of things will happen in 2028 for those of you who maybe were wondering what that meant. They also, in this episode, talked about the Hi Hello business card app. And I immediately knew that I needed this in my life. And I was curious, Malika, do you use business cards in your work life?
really? I have them, and I've probably given away 2 or 3. There were
Right.
times when I should have had more, like when I went to a conference. The 2
Yes.
times I went to conferences, I didn't bring my business cards. That would have been the time, but I'm intrigued by this app too because I like that it's not a physical thing.
Right.
It is handy to give somebody a physical thing, but even when somebody hands me one, I wanna just be like, "Can I just take a picture of that?"
Right.
In my head, I'm like, "Do I throw this away now or later?" And
Yeah.
that's
Or 2
rude.
seconds later.
So I
Yeah.
like having something that's already digital anyway.
Yes, I have the exact same problem. I have a huge stack of business cards, and whenever I'm in a position where I need to give one to someone or where it would make sense, I don't have those business cards, like, on
Yeah.
hand. And I have just traded contact information with people or,
Mhm.
they call you and the whole thing, and so I feel like having a digital solution would be great, and we could do one for happier ladies too, because people are
Yeah.
often like, "Oh, okay, send me the link to it," or something like that. So maybe if we had a business card form of that, it would be easier to share that with people who are interested.
I agree. In episode 416, they talked about creating a family crest using AI, and they mentioned this Substack that I really wanna check out called Mavens, M and then it's parentheses AI, VENS, or womenai.substack.com. That's focused on helping women get more comfortable with AI by, like, having little challenges. It's like a 5-minute weekly newsletter that gives you different ways to apply AI so that you get more confident using it. And I just love that as a mission because I think
Mhm.
we've talked about AI a little bit before. Like, I would like to use it more. I see the benefits of it and also the dangers or whatever. But ultimately, I think it would be good to just be able to use it. And Norm uses it all the time.
Hmm.
And I'll ask him to use it for me, which is silly because, hello, like, ask your
That's
friend,
funny.
blah, blah, blah.
Ask your friend ChatGPT how to do this thing.
So I like that it's
Yeah.
woman focused but basically it gives you like guidance about how to prompt AI to create this image and then how to refine it. And so they both came up with images that reflect, things that their family likes, things about their history, and came up with something that Liz said she's actually wants to print out and maybe we'll put up in her home, which is just really cool, I think.
Mhm. I love this whole mission also. AI is a language that you have to learn and you have to practice it to learn the language.
Right,
And it's like the further along it gets, the harder it will be, I feel like, to catch up and to know how to best utilize it. You have to actually engage with it.
right.
So right now, I feel like when people tell me about how they used AI, it feels like a party trick.
Mhm.
Right now, it
Mhm.
feels like, "Oh, that's cool," but not actually functionally or regularly using it in a way that improves life. So that's something that I'm definitely curious about. And this seemed like a super cute idea, way to use it.
Yeah,
Something that brings your own values and helps you identify what your shared values are as a family. And yeah, it's nice to have those kind of visual reminders around.
absolutely.
I love this idea. Maybe we can do one for our podcast, Malika.
We could do a podcast crest.
That'd be fun. You can ask
Probably
Norm
have
to
a
do it
peak and a valley in it, or I can ask Norm.
for us. Right. We'll definitely have a peak in the valley. Yeah, that'll be fun to think about. They talked about in this episode work albatross. Like getting into things that you can't get out of, or like taking on work that is not going anywhere or going to go anywhere. And it made me think about this phenomenon that I have identified in myself. And I think I've talked about it before, but it's when I get excited about something or about going in a direction or taking on a project. And I'm so excited and moving it forward. And then at some point realize no one else is excited about it.
Hmm.
Or now I have more work that nobody asked me to do or that is essential in any way. And as a leader, it's important for me to just continue to be more in tune with what is the work that is actually needed and what is the work that is actually valued and wanted. And knowing if I'm the only one excited about it, that is a good sign that maybe it's not the right time. Not that it's
Hmm.
not useful or important, but maybe it's not the right time to move forward with that thing.
It sounds like you're creating an albatross for other people.
Right. Which is what leaders can do,
Yeah.
you know? That's what's hard about being a leader is that people don't always tell you, or you have to gauge whether this is worth pushing forward because work is work. And
Yes.
sometimes, or a lot of times, it's not fun or it's inconvenient. So there are times when it's essential to just push people forward anyway. And there are times when actually, wait a minute, this is not important right now.
Yeah.
This is not the priority. So it's kind of keeping your eye on what the priorities are and avoiding or reprioritizing the things that aren't priorities.
Yeah.
Reprioritizing what's not a priority. That's
Yeah.
funny. Yes, you know what I mean.
I do. I think I can relate to that as well. Being in a higher ed situation, I feel like this is true in a lot of areas, but especially like nonprofits where
Mhm,
you're in a mission driven organization and there's just kind of like so much that can be done at any time.
mhm,
But then there's, the amount of hours you have in a week and your job title and your scope. But if you did other things, it would be good, it would be valuable, it could be meaningful in the world. But I struggle with aligning that with like, how does this fit into my job and what my responsibilities are? And like, as you're saying, like needing to calibrate and scale back to make sure
mhm.
that the basics are not getting neglected.
Yeah, exactly. You wanna do as few things really well
Right.
as you can as opposed to just a lot of things, and as I said previously, I get excited about the future and possibilities and new ideas that could push us or propel us in exciting directions. But you can't do all of that. You can't do all of those ideas. And also, again, if the team is not excited or doesn't see the value, then it's not worth it or it's not the right time
Right.
to move forward in that way. It makes me think about Frasier. We talked about this recently when he's like, well, if less is more, then more is more.
Exactly.
No, actually, it's not. And finding the right project is important and takes skill. And when everyone's on the same page and everyone is moving forward in the same direction and excited about it, it feels so good.
Yeah.
That work feels really good. So that's what we're always wanting to get to, that place.
So in the end of the episode, Liz recommended The Studio, which is a show on Apple Plus, and it stars and is created by Seth Rogen as well as a number of other writers, but it's kind of like an insider look at Hollywood through the eyes of an executive, which I think is the new angle, Like, what does an executive go through who's trying to make it and wants to be a filmmaker, but has all these commercial pressures to just make hits? Anyway, it's a fun show, and I wanted to recommend her recommendation and hop on that shout out because my friend, Arthur Kang, is in one of the episodes. I think it's episode 6.
Yay.
So it's always fun to have an actor friend who's like in something that's out right now.
Yes.
I haven't gotten to his episode yet because I'm watching them in order, but I just had to shout it out. I've heard great things, and it is a fun show. If you like cringy comedy, like kind of like The Office, Michael Scott moments,
Mm,
which you
yeah,
like The Office, but this is
I
more
do.
intense.
Yeah.
I think. Like, there's no violence, but it reminds me of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if you ever watched that.
With Larry David?
Yes.
Yes, I watched a few
There's just
episodes.
so many awkward situations. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't. I can't."
Yeah, I don't know if that's my thing. Extended awkward situations, I don't know, but maybe I'll watch one
It's
because
funny.
you have good taste.
It's very funny,
Okay.
and it is very Hollywood, LA, like, you get to see a lot of locations that are, like, on the studio lot, but also, like, the Hollywood Hills and, like,
Yeah.
Franklin area
Mm,
of Hollywood Hills, like, just different little places that you've been, but haven't necessarily seen on TV.
right.
That you, Azizi, have
And
been,
that
not
I still
everybody,
go.
but exactly,
But you haven't seen in a while.
exactly.
It occurs to me, Malika, we should put out a list of all the guest stars that you did at some point. That might be fun
Oh,
for people to
I don't
watch. No?
know.
Okay.
I mean, it's on IMDb, so
All right, there you
we can
go.
link that.
Look it up.
It's like very old things.
Yeah, but I got a rush. I remember those times. It was fun to see on TV. Let's take a break. And when we get back, we'll recap Happier.
Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready to go online cart.
Oh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the Prep Dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Malika, what happened on Happier?
On Happier episode 531, Gretchen and Liz discuss the strategy of arriving right on time to a networking event, and they share the importance of making friends with the friends of your friends. In More Happier, Gretchen gives a puppy update. In episode 532, they talk about their favorite words and offer listener advice about being an obliger in a sticky work situation.
In episode 531, they talked about the strategy of arriving on time to an event, like right on time, and kind of being the first one there, especially when it's a networking event, so that you have the luxury of welcoming people as they come in slowly and you can have longer conversations and kind of it takes some of the awkwardness away, Liz shared. And so I actually had a networking event that came up a few days after I listened to this episode. And I was determined to get there right on time and enjoy some of these perks that Liz mentioned. And then, just due to a series of events, I ended up getting there after the event had started. And I immediately understood the value of getting there earlier. Because as I arrived, everyone was already paired up and, deep in
Mm,
conversation. It just feels so awkward to enter into a space. It was kind of a smallish space. And this was a part of an organization that this was my first time engaging with them. So I
mm,
didn't have a history of knowing people at this event. Luckily, I did find somebody that I knew, an old colleague. And so I was able to connect with them and, it was fine. But then I didn't meet new people, which was what I
mm.
wanted to do. And so I think the arriving on time is the best way to meet new people. Even if you know people, you're at a networking event to network,
Right, right.
not to hang with just the same people you already know. So that's a note for myself for the next time. It occurred to me that this could also be used for like a business lunch with someone. I have actually started making a point to come early to the lunch or the coffee so that I can find the table, have a seat or connect with the hostess.
Mhm.
And it just makes it for a more comfortable entry into the conversation. So I'm not arriving flustered. I like that feeling of being established before the connection begins.
Yeah. I think there aren't many downsides to being early in general.
Right.
It takes more effort. It can be difficult to do. I agree with their advice 100% as well for networking events. And it just takes more courage than coming late for sure,
Yeah,
because you have to really put in that effort and then you can't be early and be invisible.
that's what it is. You have to have some courage because you are then seen.
Yes.
You're not hiding. If you come in late, you're not hiding in the back. You're not just observing and sitting back. You have to engage. And it turns out that's less awkward than trying to connect with people by coming in later,
Right,
I
right.
think. If you truly want to get to know people. Now, if you're just there to like take in the presentation and
Sure.
sit in the back, then it's fine. And that's the thing. My natural inclination is to just be in the back and kind of observe, maybe just have a conversation with one person as opposed to 20. Like that's my natural state. And so I'm constantly having to push against that.
Yeah. Well, let us know how it goes the next time you show up early.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, easy.
Yes. Okay. I will let you know how it goes. Yeah. This is now going to be a rule and something that I strive for each time I at a business thing. You know what? I'm going to make a commitment. I have one coming up. It's in a few weeks, and I will strive to be the first one there.
Okay.
All right, I'll tell you how it goes.
All right. They also talked about the benefits of having friends that know your friends versus just like all of your friendships being one-offs, people in different silos. That's fine, but people feel more of a sense of community and safety net when their friends know one another.
Yes.
And so I feel like I'm coming into this now. I was recently invited to join a group of people who I knew, but I knew them all kind of individually. And now we're in a group together and there's more people that I'm meeting. And what I really like is something they touched on, which is that when you're in a group, it kind of evens the playing field. Like I can relate to this person now as my own friend instead of just the friend of the friend
Mhm.
because we're all in the group together.
Mm.
And so there's more potential for new one-on-one connections. And it's interesting. I think I have felt like, well, maybe I'm just not a group friend person,
Mm.
because I do have very strong one-off relationships. But I think especially in this season of like living somewhere where I don't have a lot of family and needing help with children,
Yeah.
I really need to invest in the community aspects.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is actually quite important for my life now. And I want it to feel authentic.
Well, you've done an amazing job, Malika, of finding that community and putting yourself out there and joining things, being a part of groups because you started with nothing. You
This
started
is true.
with absolutely nothing. You moved to a place that was completely foreign to you. You had no connections, you had no network. And fast forward to, I don't know, 4 years later, and now you have friends and you're friends of their friends. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. I mean, people do this every day, I feel. I'm not a hero.
But it's not easy, and that's why
It's not
Gretchen had
easy.
a whole episode just about making friends, and that's
Yeah,
why we are in this loneliness epidemic, because it is not easy, especially because there's a million other ways to spend your time and sort of pseudo connect with people in ways that aren't authentic, and it requires some vulnerability putting yourself out there in that way.
absolutely. Yeah. I do think that having a baby was a huge help because
Yes.
it put me in a lot of situations with other people who were also in this big life transition. So that vulnerability piece, I think, came a lot easier. And I remember like giving my number to people I met at the park and the library and like really like cruising, like
Yes.
you make eyes with someone who has a baby and you're like, "Oh, could we be friends?"
And would you do that in LA? If you were out here in LA and you're at a park, would you do that?
I don't
I
know.
don't know either. I also think for me, because I had family and because, I had enough, I didn't try to make new friends during that time
Right.
where it would have been helpful.
Yeah, different community and not all of those connections panned out, but some of them did. And certainly any group that you can just show up at and then come to each week,
Yes.
that's really good.
Yeah.
And I feel grateful, like, I sought those out in the community, and when, like, even if I didn't go to that particular hospital, I saw they had a walk-in group for babies and moms, and so I would just go to that group, you know?
Yes. A group is helpful because it also gives you something to do. So
Yeah.
that reduces the awkwardness. You have an agenda. It's like a meeting. When you go, there's a container and you're going to do some things, and everyone knows what you're going to do when you get there. So I
Mhm.
find that helpful. I'm trying to start a couple of groups, and that was on my list to make connections with other people who are in my role this year. And I initiated it. I invited people and got through the calendaring hurdle, which is a lot of work to find the time to get everyone together. And they're going to happen in the next 2 weeks. And I'm curious to see if they continue. I'm curious to see if they have legs and if there are others in the group who want this to continue. I feel like
Mhm.
mostly people maybe just don't wanna do that labor, and so I'm glad I volunteered to get it going, or I'm glad I took the initiative to start it, but we'll see if it continues, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't wanna do that work either of organizing, really, but I will show up.
Right, you'll show up, but to the other point of maybe it doesn't continue, you said when you put yourself out there and, made connections with people in the park, they didn't always pan out, right? So,
Right.
that's okay because some of them do, so it's okay to keep trying. And side note, this makes me think about I used to watch a lot of I Love Lucy, and Lucy was a part of groups, like women's groups.
Oh, really?
Often the episodes centered around like the bridge club or the ladies group was putting on a play or something. And I used to wonder, like, who does this? Like, and now I get it. Like, we are a part of groups now also.
That's funny.
Often they are gendered, or even if they're not, it's just that's what life is being a part of groups, and it's been that way
Right.
for years. So,
That's funny.
yeah. The other thing about this is as soon as Gretchen said making friends with the friends of your friends, I thought about the More We Get Together song, and I can't stop thinking about it now because I don't know that I ever really reflected on the lyrics as a preschool teacher and how, like, important they are to adults also, but it is brilliant. It's just like the more you get together, the happier we'll be. And your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. That's literally all the lyrics of the song.
Very true. That's very
It is
profound.
so profound.
In More Happier, Gretchen and Liz talked about Gretchen's newest addition to their family, Taffy, the puppy,
Yay.
and that was quite fun to hear about.
Congratulations, Gretchen.
Yes, congratulations.
Exciting. In episode 532, Gretchen talked about keeping a list of your favorite words. And I love this idea because I do have a few favorite words. I don't have many, but I have a few. And a few of my favorite words are faff. It's such a faff. Like, what a faff. It's a British word. I heard it on the British baking show. I can't remember which season, but one of the youngest contestants for that season would say, like, oh, I know, it was such a faff. She was a vegan baker. And it means like going through all these steps and it's so much work. And I love this word. I find so many uses for it. So that's one.
I remember when you started
I
using
do
it
remember.
because it was recent, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then you said it again later about something else. I was like, "Where? Who are you?"
Once I heard it, I could not stop finding ways to use it. There's so many faps in the
You
world
definitely
and in my
do.
life. And so there's just not another word for it, you know? And then we talked about this last time. I love the word delightful. Delightful sounds so like floral and feminine and lovely. Those are words I use a lot. And when I was dating Grayson, and the more we've been together, there are some words that he uses that immediately made me take pause because I had not heard other people use these words. So Grayson says gumption and
Mm.
hankering, and another word he says is cattywampus. Like, oh, everything was a mess. It was all cattywampus. Like, excuse me? What are these words? Are you 80 years old? But
Does you feel like an older generation?
he is. He spent a lot of time with his grandparents growing up, and he always says that. They lived a house away from him, and he took on some of their words and still uses them, but I think it's really sweet.
That's fun.
Do you have favorite words?
I do, and I couldn't think of them, though. I've gotta reflect on this more. There's a word, fadge.
Badge.
Yeah, Fadge.
Oh,
It's like a line in a Shakespeare play, like, "How will this fadge?" Which is like, "How will this turn out?"
really?
It's a funny line in the play, but it's a funny word that we don't use anymore, and I never use it, but I like it.
Interesting.
Maybe that's why I like Shakespeare because of the words.
Hmm.
But in my own life, I think I prefer to make up my own words.
Right. Yes. This is true.
Off the beaten path, you know? There's a word I particularly enjoy that I made up called shamopples, which is like especially for work, but it can be in other situations when there's like a communication breakdown. It could happen on like a, let's say you're trying to get some information about your insurance and you're talking to like a chat bot, you know,
Hmm.
or the online help person and they like keep asking questions, you're giving them answers, and then they keep giving you like adjacent answers and they're like, "Are you satisfied?" No.
No, I'm
That's
not.
not what I'm talking
So
about.
how do you use it in a sentence?
Like, oh, there were just so many shamopples in that conversation. Or you just
Ah.
declare shamopples and like throw your hands up and let it go. Because
Like,
especially with like
Parcheesi. It's just
exactly.
Shamopples.
I was working for this particular company where there were so many communication issues among the upper management to the point where it'd be like, were we at the same meeting? Like, you said this. I wrote it down in my notes. And then they would say the exact opposite thing later in an email. And like that just happened all of the time. And so it was just like, oh my goodness, shamopples. And that helped me deal with it to know I'm not crazy. Like, this is just the way it is here. It takes the edge off of it. I could think of like more profane words to say, but it kind of just takes the edge off, I felt.
It makes me think of, like, little evil elves that come in and, like, scramble the things in the conversation that no one else can see.
Yes.
These are the Shamopples that just enter in and, like, mix things up, and then the communication is all cattywampus, you know?
Yes. That's funny. I
Uh,
never thought of it that way, but yes.
There's actual Shamopples that come in.
Yes.
So you used to listen to a podcast called Away with Words, and you were so excited about words when you listened
I
to this
know.
podcast.
Well, what's funny in just reflecting on this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to listening to it because I really enjoyed it. It was just a show where people would call in and like talk about words that they liked or had questions about and a lot of regional things. And it's a really kind of delightful, family friendly show. And that's actually one of the things I think I mentioned the podcast to Norm on our first date.
Yes.
And then on our second date, he brought it up that he had listened to it. And I was like, what? You really? You listened to it? Like that was a huge,
He was impressed.
huge points for that he actually followed through to listen to it and that he liked it. And I was like, oh, we're going to get along.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you guys and words, that should be on your family crest because if you try to play like Scrabble or Bananagrams with Norman Malika, you will lose. The words that they come up with are, yeah, off the charts.
You and the rest of our family don't enjoy it.
No
And
one else,
so
Malika.
I know,
No one else enjoys it. We've stopped playing because it's
I
not
know.
fun anymore. But
Well,
kudos
we
to
have other
you.
word friends,
You
so
do. You have other word friends where you can be equally challenged, but you guys do have a special way with words, making them up, naming things, all of that.
fun.
Yeah. I did appreciate Gretchen's hack of 3 tops to each bottom when packing. I don't know what I've been doing my whole life when I pack. It's just been, random, but it's nice to have a rule. So I'm definitely going to try this out. It makes sense to me.
Me too. I think I typically think more in terms of outfits, and then I
Ah,
just go into options.
right,
I'm definitely someone who tends to overpack,
right.
but I like that this has logic behind it.
Yeah, I feel like I've always done more tops to bottoms, but again, no logic. So I like this ratio. We'll give it a try.
So they talked about a listener who wrote in who has kind of identified as an obliger in Gretchen's 4 tendencies framework and had a question about how to ward off obliger rebellion, which is when someone who's an obliger gets pushed too far. Like you do too many things for other people and then you kind of just snap one day. And this is a phenomena that Gretchen has talked about before, and it can be very catastrophic, like blowing up some part of your life because you're just done. And so if you know this about yourself that you could, how do you prevent it from happening? Because it can
Mhm.
be hard to get out of too. So this person was talking about in their work situation, there have been a lot of layoffs and they're having to take on more work without a promotion or more pay. And they can kind of, even though they like their job, they just kind of see that they're getting more resentful and don't want it to turn into an obliger rebellion situation. So they were offering the listener advice about how to avoid that.
And I really liked Liz's advice, which was basically accept the situation and figure out how you're going to make it work and have this conversation with your supervisor about I need your help to figure out how to make this work. I need you to help me prioritize. I maybe need to be able to work from home so that I can accomplish these additional tasks. Like rather than resisting or rejecting or burning it down, you know,
Right.
accept the situation, reframe it, and sort of figure out how to work as a team to figure out how to support this new reality because that's happening everywhere these
Yeah.
days. And either you're not up for it and which you leave or you try to make it work. And I think engaging the supervisor around how to make it more workable for you and offering some ideas and suggestions about how to do that is a good way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's appropriate to have some amount of time, whether it's a day or a few days, where you kind of mourn
Right.
the change and kind of grapple with the fact that this is not what you wanted and you're in this
Mm,
situation anyway. But then at a certain point, you do need to decide, am I going to be in this reality? And if the answer is yes, how do I want to feel every day coming into work?
mm,
And maybe it's like, I want to feel supported. And so that really means like, okay, I need to talk to the people who can support me and be honest
mhm,
with them, or I want to feel ambitious. And
mhm,
maybe you raised the bar for yourself a little bit, or I don't know, whatever it is, but being clear, like, how do you want to relate to the situation now that it
mhm.
is a fact?
Yeah, and thinking about what you have control over and what you don't have
Yeah.
control over. And there's a lot there. There's a lot that you can control in terms of how you feel or how you view a situation.
Yeah.
So, good advice.
Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will share our peaks and valleys.
We're back with peaks and valleys.
Hey, it's Paris. You know, I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Because in life, there are always peaks and there are always valleys. This is an odd episode, so Malika is up with a peak.
So, in a recent episode, I said that I never do spring cleaning and that I never
Yeah.
had the
I think
urge.
that was just last week.
Okay, last episode. And my peak is that I actually did a thing.
Now, do you think you were motivated by the conversation we had about spring cleaning
I
or?
don't think so, honestly. I think I might be getting into like nesting territory a little bit,
Right.
a third trimester of like just things that haven't bothered me around the house are really bothering me now. Like,
Hmm.
we got to fix this thing. So it wasn't even like a big flourish, but it was like this specific thing is driving me nuts. It's been this way for a long time. Like, we come in through the back door, which is not really like a full entryway zone, but we've kind of made one.
Right.
And there's a giant pile of shoes right next to the door, like
Yes.
next to the couch that you can very easily trip over. It's hard to find the shoes that you need.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing if it's muddy outside or whatever. And it's like in the living room.
Hmm.
And so this has been the case for a long time, but I haven't done anything about it. And this week I was like, I have to fix this.
It just one day you were just like, now.
Well, Norm and I, we've both been talking about it.
Oh.
So it's come up in the conversation and like, we need a solution for this. And I keep noticing really elegant solutions at other people's homes.
Mm.
And I'll like take a picture sometimes. So I've been thinking about it. Anyway, I finally rearranged the furniture in this living room and found a shelf from a different part of the house that could be used as a shoe shelf and just made a little more space and put the shoes on the shelf. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that's so much better. It's
Aw.
not perfect. There's still work to be done on the zone, but I'm really proud that I followed through on an organizing project. And it's satisfying to see that it is so much more functional.
Congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
you repurposed, which is great. You didn't have to spend any more money and you problem solved an area that you have to look at every single day. You're going to get returns. And this is probably a very common problem. I think most people probably take their shoes off when they come into the house. It's definitely a problem at my house. And
Yeah,
so the hard part is actually using the shelves and not
right.
like just keeping the shoes where you have taken them off, like actually picking them up and putting them on the shelf is the hard part.
Well, I think even with having shoes on the floor, there's just more space. So you're not tripping over them when you come in.
I see. There's a zone for that.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. So Azizi, what is your valley?
Well, okay. My valley is that I was opening up some old mail and realized that I have to renew my driver's license like next week.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I just don't want to. I have
Yeah.
to deal with the DMV and I don't know. It may not even be that big of a process, but I'm just dreading it. So that's my valley. Gotta do it.
You gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
I mean, I think we both have valleys that are adulting things often.
Yeah. Just paperwork and
Nothing good comes from the mail.
no. No. We gotta change that. We need people to send more good things in the mail.
I know. I know.
True.
So are you going to make an appointment?
Yeah. I am going to deal with that this weekend.
Okay.
That is at the top of the list because it expires next week. I have to
Yeah.
do something. I can't just drive around with no current license. So I will take care of it.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. What are you going to try this week?
I want to try that business card app. Hi, hello. Curious about
Mm.
that. What about you, Malika?
I want to look at the AI Substack,
Ooh, yes.
Mavens,
Yes. Yes, yes.
see what inspiration comes. All right. Thank you for listening to this episode. You can find our show notes in the episode description. If you like us, please rate us, review us, and tell a friend. And don't forget to follow us.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com.
Our show was edited by Magnus Bjorgum, and our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
You can find us on Instagram at happierladies and on the web at happierladies.com. All right, Malika, have a happier week.
Have a happier week, Azizi. Bye.
Bye.
All right, musical interlude.
I can hear Indigo in the back, but it's a little bit.
Now I hear Bo.
There's a lot going on.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.